Picture this, it's thousands of years ago, and our ancestors are trying to share their experiences. In the dimly lit corners of prehistoric caves, our ancestors left the first traces of their existence. They painted stories of hunting, of surviving, of living. These cave paintings were the initial attempts at communication, a way for them to share their experiences, their triumphs, and their fears. But as time passed, the need for more immediate forms of communication grew. Enter smoke signals, a puff of smoke rising in the distance, painting pictures in the sky. They were used to convey important messages across long distances. Though these signals could be seen miles away, they were at the mercy of the weather. A gust of wind or a sudden downpour could distort the message, making it unintelligible. And then there were carrier pigeons, the early avian postmen. Trained to fly between specific locations, these birds carried messages tied around their necks. Carrier pigeons were faster than smoke signals, but they too had their constraints. Predators, weather, and distances posed significant challenges. These early forms of communication were slow, unreliable, and often at the mercy of natural elements. Yet, they were all that our ancestors had. Imagine the frustration of waiting for a smoke signal that never arrives or a carrier pigeon that loses its way. Picture the desperation in trying to decipher a distorted message, knowing that it could be a matter of life and death. But it was this very frustration, this desperation, that became the catalyst for change. The desire to communicate, to share stories, to warn of dangers, to celebrate victories, drove our ancestors to look for better, more reliable ways of sharing their experiences. Despite the limitations, these primitive forms of communication set the foundation for what was to come. They marked the dawn of a journey that would span thousands of years and bring us to where we are today. Despite these challenges, the desire to communicate and share experiences drove technological advancements. And thus, the stage was set for the next chapter in the story of communication. Scene script. Fast forward a few centuries and we see the invention of writing and the printing press. Imagine a world without writing, where everything is communicated verbally. It's hard to fathom, isn't it? When human beings first etched symbols into stone or clay, they began a communication revolution. Writing allowed us to store and share information across time and space. It enabled more complex communication, letting us construct elaborate narratives, laws, and treaties. We could now record history, share knowledge, and express ideas with a permanence and precision that spoken words couldn't match. But writing was just the beginning. As civilizations grew and the demand for written content increased, the process of manually copying texts became too slow and laborious. Enter Johannes Gutenberg, a German inventor who in the mid-15th century revolutionized the world with the invention of the printing press. The printing press made mass communication possible. It was no longer a case of one scribe, one book. Now, hundreds, even thousands of copies of a single document could be produced in the same amount of time. This was a massive leap forward. Information that was once available only to the privileged few could now be disseminated on an unprecedented scale. Ideas, news, and knowledge began to flow freely across nations, fueling the Renaissance, the Reformation, and the scientific revolution. The printing press democratized knowledge. It made information accessible, and in doing so, it empowered people. It laid the groundwork for public discourse and challenged established authorities. It was, in every sense, a game changer. But here's the interesting thing. As monumental as the printing press was, it was just one step in the evolution of communication. Each invention, each innovation built upon the last, leading us closer to the interconnected world we live in today. The printing press was a game changer, but the best was yet to come. Enter the 19th and 20th centuries, a time of unprecedented technological advancement. The world was on the cusp of an era that would forever change the way we communicate. Let's start with the telegraph. In the mid-19th century, Samuel Morse and Alfred Vail brought to life a system that could transmit messages over long distances in an instant. It was a revolution, a jump from weeks or even months of waiting for a letter to a near instantaneous transmission. The world became a little smaller that day. Yet, the telegraph was just the beginning. The telephone, invented by Alexander Graham Bell in the late 19th century, brought a more personal touch to long-distance communication. No longer were we constrained by the written word. We could now hear the inflections, the emotions in the voice of the person on the other end. The telephone was a game changer, making the world even smaller and even more connected. As we moved into the 20th century, we saw the rise of the radio. No longer was communication a one-to-one affair. Radio allowed for one-to-many communication, reaching hundreds, thousands, even millions of people at once. This technology democratized information, making it accessible to anyone with a radio set. Finally, we arrive at the television. Building on the success of radio, television added a visual element to communication. It brought images from around the world right into our living rooms. It brought us closer to each other, closer to far-off places, and closer to events that we would never have been able to experience otherwise. These inventions, the telegraph, the telephone, the radio, and the television, each played a crucial role in shaping the society we live in today. They broke down barriers, made the world smaller, and revolutionized the way we communicate. These inventions transformed society, but the revolution was just beginning. Now, we're in the digital age, where communication happens at the speed of light. Imagine a world where you can talk to someone on the other side of the planet in real time, without even leaving your home. That's the reality we live in today, thanks to the advent of the internet. Born in the late 20th century, the internet started as a military project, but quickly became a global phenomenon, connecting people in ways never before possible. It's like a vast, invisible web stretching across the globe, linking us all together. But the internet is only part of the story. Social media platforms have taken this connectivity to a whole new level. Sites like Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter have transformed the way we communicate, allowing us to share our thoughts, experiences, and ideas with millions, even billions of people at the click of a button. These platforms have given everyone a voice, creating a global conversation that never ends. Then there's the smartphone. This little device, small enough to fit in your pocket, is a powerhouse of communication technology. It combines the internet, social media, and a whole host of other applications into one portable package. With a smartphone, you can video call a friend in London, post a photo on Instagram for your followers in Tokyo, and send an email to your boss in New York, all while sitting in a cafe in Sydney. The world is literally at your fingertips. This digital revolution has not only made communication instantaneous, it's also given us access to an unprecedented amount of information. Now, we can learn about anything from anywhere at any time. It's like having the world's largest library in your pocket. But, as with any revolution, the digital age brings challenges as well as opportunities. Issues such as privacy, misinformation, and digital divide are now part of the conversation. Yet, these challenges are part of our ongoing journey in the evolution of communication. So, from cave paintings to tweets, the evolution of communication technology has fundamentally transformed how we connect and share information.